I worked for years in silence, hoping the world would cheer when I finally succeeded, but when the moment came, the crowd clapped for others and ignored me as if I had never existed. I'm writing this because I need to get it out. Because the weight of what I've done is crushing me, and maybe if I tell someone, even strangers on the internet, I can figure out how I became this person. 3 months ago I destroyed the best thing in my. Her name was Sarah. We'd been together for 6 years, engaged for 2. She believed in me when nobody else did. When I was grinding away at my startup, working 80-hour weeks in our tiny apartment, surviving on instant ramen, and her unwavering faith that I'd make it someday. We're gonna change the world, she'd whisper when I'd collapse into bed at 2 a.m. Defeated by another day of rejections and setbacks. I can see it. I live for those words. They kept me going through 3 failed product launches, countless investor meetings that went nowhere, and watching every friend from college land 6-figure jobs while I scraped together grocery money. But here's the thing about working in silence for years: it's lonely. Soul-crushingly lonely. Sarah tried to understand, but she had her own career as a teacher. She'd come home exhausted from dealing with 30 kids all day, and I'd be hunched over my laptop, barely acknowledging her existence. We stopped talking about anything that wasn't logistics. When was the last time we went on a date? When was the last time I asked about her day? I was so focused on my future success that I forgot about our present. Then came TechCrunch Disrupt, the startup competition I'd been preparing for since day one. This was it, my moment. The validation I'd been chasing for years. I flew to San Francisco alone. Sarah had parent-teacher conferences that week. Go it, she said, kissing me goodbye at the airport. I'll be watching the livestream. That's where I met Alexis. She was everything I thought I wanted to be: successful, confident, funded. Her startup had just raised a Series A. She was speaking on panels, getting interviewed by tech journalists, living the I dreamed about. And somehow, impossibly, she was interested in me. Have something special, she said after my pitch crashed and burned on stage. I'd stuttered through half my presentation before the judges me off. The audience looked bored. No one clapped when I finished. I was sitting alone at the hotel bar, nursing my 3rd whiskey, when she found me. "Those judges are idiots," she said, sliding onto the bar stool next to me. "They wouldn't recognize innovation if it slapped them in the face." I should have called Sarah. Should have gone back to my room and processed the rejection like an adult. Instead, I let Alexis buy me another drink. Let her tell me I was brilliant and underappreciated. Let her convince me that I deserved better than people who didn't understand my vision. "Know what problem is?" she said, her hand touching my arm. Her too pure for this game, too honest. That made everything fuzzy around the edges. Her attention felt like sunlight after years in a cave. For the first time in months, someone was really seeing me, really listening. We talked until the bar closed. About startups and dreams and the loneliness of building something from nothing. She understood in a way that Sarah never could. She spoke my language. "Want to continue this upstairs?" she asked. I knew what she meant. I knew exactly what would happen if I said yes. I thought about Sarah, probably asleep in our bed, her phone on the nightstand with notifications turned on in case I called. I thought about the ring hidden in my sock drawer. The proposal I'd been planning for after my big break finally came. But in that moment, sitting there with my failure fresh and raw, Alexis felt like the future, Sarah felt like the past. Like dead weight holding me back from becoming who I was meant to be. "Yeah," I said, "let's go." I followed her to the elevator, my heart pounding with anticipation and terror. The doors closed, and I watched my reflection in the polished steel, a man I didn't recognize. A man who was about to betray everything he claimed to love. The worst part, in that moment I didn't care. I told I deserved this, that I'd sacrificed so much, worked so hard, that I'd earned one night of feeling successful. One night of being seen as the person I knew I could become. The elevator climbed toward the 10th floor, and with each passing floor, I left another piece of my integrity behind. Sarah was texting me as we walked down the hallway. "How'd it go? Call me when can. Love so much." I turned off my phone. I woke at 4 a.m. with the worst of my, not from the shame. Alexis was still asleep beside me, her arm draped across my chest like we were lovers instead of strangers who'd made a terrible mistake. The hotel room smelled like regret and expensive perfume. My phone had 17 missed calls from Sarah. The first few were excited: "Baby, I watched the livestream. I know, disappointed, but I'm so proud of her trying. Call me." Then concerned: "Hey, it's been a few hours. Are okay? Just want to hear voice." Finally worried: "I'm really scared. Please just text me that or alive." I loved. Each message was a twisting in my chest. This woman who'd supported me through everything was sitting at home terrified that something had happened to me, while I was here proving that something had happened to me. I'd become someone she'd never recognize. I slipped out of bed, grabbed my clothes and locked in the bathroom, stared at my reflection in the harsh hotel lighting. The same face that had looked back at me for 28 years but somehow completely different. Who was this person? Who throws away 6 years with someone who loves them for one night with a stranger? Alexis knocked on the door. "Okay in there?" I lied. "Just need a minute." When I came out, she was sitting on the edge of the bed, fully dressed, checking her phone like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just helped you destroy my entire. "Last night was fun," she said without looking. "We should definitely stay in touch." Fun. She called it fun. "I need to go," I said. "Course, we both have flights to catch." She stood, grabbed her purse, and headed for the door. Then she paused. "Hey, don't feel weird about this, okay? We're both adults. These things happen at conferences. These things happen." Like cheating on fiancé was as casual as networking over cocktails. After she left, I sat on the unmade bed and tried to figure out how to call Sarah back. What to say, how to explain that just flushed entire relationship down the drain because someone paid attention to for a few hours. I called her back at 6 a.m. her time. She answered on the first ring. "Thank God," she breathed. I was about to call hospitals. "What happened? Where were?" "I'm sorry," I said. "I got really after the presentation, passed out in my room, phone died." The lies came so easily. That should have been my first warning that I was already too far gone. "Oh honey, I was so worried." "Are okay. I know, disappointed about yesterday, but there will be other opportunities." Her kindness made everything worse. She was worried about my feelings while I was sitting in a bed where I'd betrayed everything we had together. "Yeah," I said. "I'm fine. I'll be home tonight. I can't wait to see." I made favorite pasta for dinner. We can talk through everything. I hung in my phone across the room. The flight home was 5 hours of thinking about what I'd done. 5 hours of watching other passengers, couples holding hands, business travelers video, calling their families, normal people living normal lives, and wondering how I'd become this version of. I kept telling it was a mistake. One night, it didn't have to mean anything if I didn't let it mean anything. But deep down I knew better. I knew the moment I stepped into that elevator, I'd crossed a line I could never uncross. I'd proven that when things got hard, when my ego got bruised, I was willing to throw away everything that mattered. Sarah was waiting for me at baggage claim with flowers. Flowers. For the man who just cheated on her. I'm so proud of her putting out there, she said, hugging me tight. I know it didn't go the way wanted, but are braver than anyone I know. I should have told her right then. Should have fallen to my knees in the middle of the airport and confessed everything. Asked for forgiveness I didn't deserve. Instead I held her close and breathed in the familiar scent of her shampoo. The same shampoo she'd been using since we first met. The scent of home. The scent of everything I'd just thrown away. Let's go home, I whispered. But we couldn't go home. Not really, because I'd left our home in that hotel room in San Francisco. I traded it for one night with someone who couldn't even remember my last name. The pasta dinner was perfect, just like always. Sarah had bought lit candles, turned off her phone so she could focus completely on me. On my feelings, on making me feel better about my failure. Tell me everything, she said. Don't leave out any details. So I told her about the pitch, about on stage, about watching the judges lose interest, about feeling invisible while other entrepreneurs got all the attention and funding. All true. All carefully edited to remove the part where I decided the solution to feeling invisible was to make visible to someone who wasn't her. I'm sorry the judges were idiots, she said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. But I saw something they didn't. I saw a man who's been working harder than anyone deserves to work, chasing a dream that's going to happen. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it's going to happen. Her faith in me was unwavering. Complete, the kind of love most people spend their entire lives searching for. And I just cheated on it. That night she wanted to be close. To remind me that even if the tech world didn't see my value, she did. Her touch felt like fire on my skin, not passion but guilt. Every was a reminder of where my mouth had been 12 hours earlier. Every whispered, I love, was another nail in the coffin of who I used to be. I lay awake until dawn, staring at the ceiling of our bedroom. The same ceiling I'd stared at during all those sleepless nights working on my startup. But this time, instead of dreaming about success, I was drowning in the weight of what I'd done. Alexis texted me 3 days later. Hey stranger, hope made it home safe. Coffee next time or in town. I stared at that message for an hour. The smart thing would have been to delete it. Block her number. Pretend that night never happened. Instead, I wrote back, yeah definitely, because apparently I wasn't done destroying my yet. The next 2 months were a masterclass in self-destruction. I told I wasn't really having an affair. Alexis and I were just texting, just grabbing coffee when she was in town for meetings, just talking about business and shared experiences that Sarah wouldn't understand. Except every text felt like a betrayal. Every coffee meeting was another step away from the man Sarah thought she was marrying. Every lie got easier to tell. Who are texting? Sarah would ask when my phone buzzed during dinner. Potential investor, I'd say. Sorry, let me just reply real quick. She'd nod and go back to telling me about her day, about the kids in her classroom, about the field trip she was planning. Normal stuff that felt increasingly foreign to me. I was living in two worlds now. The world where I was Sarah's faithful fiancé working on my startup from our kitchen table, struggling but honest, and the world where I was someone exciting enough to catch the attention of a successful entrepreneur who sent me messages like, thinking about our last conversation, and, get me in a way most people don't. The second world felt like oxygen after drowning. My startup was going nowhere. Still, even after San Francisco, even after the rejection, I kept telling I was on the verge of a breakthrough. But every day brought more evidence that I was fooling. Sarah never said anything, but I could see it in her eyes sometimes. The worry. The quiet calculation of our bank account. The way she'd pause before agreeing to go out to dinner. Maybe I should look for a part-time job, I said one evening, the words tasting like failure. Hey, she sat down beside me on the couch taking my hands. Moo agreed. 2 more years, have 2 more years to make this work, and then we'll recess. I believe in 2 more years of her teaching salary carrying us. 2 more years of her faith propping my delusions. What if I'm not good enough? I asked. What if I've been lying to this whole time? They'll try something else, she said simply. And I'll still lie. Success isn't why I'm with, but it's why I wanted to be with. And since I couldn't find success in my work, I was looking for it everywhere else. Alexis made me feel successful. When she texted me pictures from tech conferences I couldn't afford to attend, adding we're here, I felt like I belonged in that world. When she asked for my opinion on business decisions I felt valuable. When she told me her relationship was complicated, I told her mine was stable but boring. The words came out before I could stop them, stable but boring. Like Sarah's love was something to be ashamed of instead of treasured. I get that, Alexis replied. Sometimes outgrow people. Outgrow. Like Sarah was a childhood hobby I should abandon. The truth was Sarah hadn't changed at all. She was still the same incredible woman who'd fallen for a broke dreamer 6 years ago. Still supporting me, still believing in me, still putting our relationship first even when I'd clearly stopped doing the same. I was the one who changed. I was the one who decided that loyalty was boring and stability was failure. The breaking point came on a Thursday in March. Alexis was in town for a potential acquisition meeting. We'd been texting all week about grabbing dinner. Just to catch, I told Sarah I had a networking event with other entrepreneurs. Another lie. They were piling like snow, each one making it harder to see the ground beneath. We met at an upscale restaurant downtown. The kind of place I couldn't afford but pretended I belonged in. Alexis looked incredible, confident, successful, like she owned every room she entered. Clean nice, she said when I arrived. I'd spent an hour getting ready. Bought a new shirt with money from our grocery budget. Sarah thought I was networking. She'd even wished me luck in me to make some good connections. Dinner was supposed to be casual. Just 2 entrepreneurs talking shop. But the loosened our tongues and the conversation turned personal quickly. Do you ever wonder what would be like if D made different choices? She asked. Every day, I admitted. I used to be in a long-term relationship too, she said. College sweetheart. We were planning to get married, had the whole traditional path mapped out. But then I realized I was settling, playing it safe instead of going after what I really wanted. What did do? I left him. Best decision I ever made. Sometimes have to people to save point. She was talking about her ex but her eyes were on me. Sarah and I have been together 6 years, I said. That's a long time to be with first real girlfriend. Like 6 years of love and partnership could be dismissed as inexperience. She's a good person, I said weakly. I'm sure she is. But good and right aren't always the same thing. Alexis leaned forward. We're meant for bigger things, I can see it. The question is whether brave enough to go after them. We went back to her hotel again, but this time felt different. This time I wasn't on failure and desperate for validation. This time, I was choosing her over Sarah with a clear head and a full understanding of what I was doing. This time it wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. Afterward, lying in another hotel bed that wasn't mine, I realized I'd crossed from cheating into having an affair. From one terrible night into a pattern. From a man who'd made was actively betraying everything he claimed to love. I should leave her, I said into the darkness. Should? Alexis agreed. Staying with someone out of obligation isn't fair to either of Phi. She was right, of course. But not for the reason she thought. I should leave Sarah because she deserved better than someone who could lie to her face every day. She deserved someone who chose her first, not someone who was keeping her as a backup plan while chasing other options. But I was a coward. I wanted the safety net of love and the excitement of Alexis's attention. I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. I went home at 1 a.m. with another story about networking running late and drinks going longer than expected. Sarah was asleep, but she'd left a plate of dinner wrapped in the fridge with a note. Hope it went well. Love. I the note away and stood in our kitchen, looking at the we'd built together. The photos on the refrigerator from our last vacation. The coffee maker she'd bought me for my birthday. The small of herbs she was growing on the windowsill because I'd mentioned once that I missed having fresh basil. 6 years of small kindnesses. 6 years of someone choosing me every single day, and I was throwing it all away for someone who'd forget my name the moment someone more successful walked into her. My phone buzzed. Alexis, can't wait to do this again. I should have deleted the message. Should have blocked her number. Should have driven straight to a therapist and figured out how to become a person worthy of Sarah's love again. Instead I wrote back, me too. Because apparently I wasn't done proving that I was exactly the kind of man Sarah deserved to be protected from.